If you thought that spell work is something only for specific people, then listen up. A few months ago, I met a woman. She was older, and she's someone that gets paid to put curses on people and to put spells on people. And I thought this conversation with her was very interesting because it also confirmed a lot of what I somehow intuitively knew. And she said it is actually incredibly easy because majority of people, they're not rooted in their divinity. They are not connected to their own self, to source. And they are very disconnected from their own system, from earth, and from who they actually are. And when you are not moving with a pure intent, but rather with manipulative agendas, when you are also, let's say, purposefully out there gaining things from people, then you are much an easier target. In my transmissions and grid work, I also get to remove entities from people. And I want to share with you one specific example on how actually the spell work can be done under different circumstances. So it's not just someone taking a picture of you and your name, but it can be done through contracts, and it can be done also during intimacy, in particular for men. But this one is about contractual agreements. I have a client whose husband is a very successful businessman and has made his fortune based on that. However, when one of his businesses went sour, he started losing life force energy because he felt very, very guilty for what had happened, even though he knew the risks, and the people investing in the business were also long-term investors that knew that it is not always going to pay out. However, for him, because his name was important for him and his dignity, it was heavy. In one of our sessions, his wife told me the story, and she also informed me that she doesn't recognize her husband anymore and that he's pretty much having very suicidal thoughts. So at some point I told her that this isn't him, there is something on him, because I could simply see it. And in the moment as I saw that, this being that was basically attached to him showed himself to me. And in the moment that I saw it, his wife felt it directly next to her. And this being, in a sense, informed me that he was bound to him through the contract that he made. So there was a spell put on the contract, and the moment he signed, he was obviously having this entity attached. And this being told me that he's not going to harm him because he's innocent. However, he needs to be aware of what is happening, because due to his attachment, the client was in a liminal space. These entities show themselves obviously to the person that has the ability to see them, to communicate with them, but then also who has a sovereign frequency and shield. But especially they show up when the person suffering from them is not guilty, is innocent. So at some point I was asking her husband to come over, and you could see it on him. Like, he looked like as if the whole life was draining out of him. He was very pale. The aura was incredibly dark. And when we did the transmission, I removed it from him. And when I explained the husband actually how this happened and the people I saw involved in that contract, he actually immediately knew who they were. And you have to imagine, this is a person who has nothing to do with transmissions or grid work or any of those things, but being in the situation he was in, he was starting to see the truth. People that have entities attached to them or that are subject to black magic or spells, you can easily see it on them because they literally look as if life force is drained out of them. They have a very specific aura and a very specific energy around them. And this can, in some cases, be really dangerous because this client that I was just giving you the example of, he was literally in liminal space. So his suicidal thoughts were very, very serious. He was more energetically almost on the other side than he was here. So sometimes you see it can take a turn, and this is why it becomes really important in our lives to also not just be the masters of our energy and move with pure intent, but also be very mindful who we are doing business with, who we are interacting with, and who we are letting in our lives.